Welcome to the Aquarius Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Reed. This episode of the Aquarius Podcast is sponsored by OASE, the global leader in water gardening technology. OASE is a relatively new entrant into the indoor aquatic space, and they're doing all us hobbyists a favor by stepping into an already competitive market and raising the bar with excellent products that have innovative features. One of the coolest features to the OASE line of power filters is seamless built-in heater integration. So if you've been looking for a way to step up your aquarium filtration and hide your heater without going the sump route, then I highly recommend you check out OASE's Biomaster canister filters and BioPlus internal filters. That's Biomaster canister filters and BioPlus internal filters. Learn more by checking out oase-livingwater.com. That's OASE-livingwater.com. I will also have this link in the show notes for quick access. Now, on to the interview. Today's date is Wednesday, December 19th, 2018. My guest today is Jimmy Nguyen. Jimmy is the photographic and cinematography wizard behind the YouTube channel Swhiskey and the Instagram account Jimmy Gimbal. Not to mention, Jimmy is also my new coworker, as I've recently joined the Aquarium CoOp team. So Jimmy, welcome to the Aquarius Podcast.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
coworker, buddy.
Yeah, seriously, coworker, buddy. Yeah, you're definitely somebody that I've been trying to get into the hot seat, if you will, on the Aquarius Podcast. I've bribed you with ramen and Chinese noodles and all sorts of other goodies, and yeah, I finally got you, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. You guessed like 6 months ago, so
no,
here we are.
Yeah, very nice, and I still do. Now I've got an IOU on either the Chinese noodles or the ramen, and maybe we'll just do both in the same day.
Please.
That sounds awesome. So, all right, enough about our what we want to eat. So, Jimmy, you've got a kind of an origin story, and not even so much in the fish world, but you've got a background that I don't think many people in this country or in this world can necessarily relate to, and I've only heard of bits and pieces of it. Why don't you go ahead and we know so much of you, at least your YouTube presence, your Instagram and social media presence, but if you don't mind, like, you going back and kind of sharing your childhood or the experiences that you've had.
Okay. Well, where do I even begin? I guess with my father being in the Army, he was in the Vietnam War. He was in the United States Army fighting against his own country. Fast forward a little bit to where he got injured, and he had his leg amputated. So after that, the Army pretty much told us to go take some asylum at one of the many refugee camps. So I think he picked the one in Thailand. So he made the big trek. I'm not sure if it was, a lot of walking or by car or a little bit of both, but I'm pretty sure it's a little bit of both because that's a lot of walking from Vietnam to Thailand. And so in Thailand at the refugee camp, he had him and my mom had me. So I think we stayed there for about 6 months. Then we moved to Philippines for about 6 months, and then they finally transferred us over to a base in Florida. And that's where my life began in the United States. It's about when I was 1 year old.
Wow, that's crazy. And and I'm sorry to cut you off, but having a 2-year-old right now with another child on the way, and just knowing, the comforts that I'm able to provide my family and
exactly.
The environment that we're growing up in or raising our son, like I couldn't imagine having a child in a situation like that, and how difficult that must have been for your parents. But they're at least so far in this story, there's the light at the end of the tunnel. There's more of a silver lining that you guys are able to get asylum and come to Florida. So sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah. Not only me, it was like 3 of my other siblings, so it was all of us that made the trek over. And so we lived in Florida for so many years, but we were Army brats, so we moved around. I probably lived in about more than 20 homes my entire life. But yeah, Washington is one of the resident states that I've been to, and the last one was Ohio, where actually the whole Swhiskey thing began. So.
Nice.
Just fast forwarding through it all,
Yeah, no worries. And so the fish keeping aspect, when did you first get an interest in fish keeping?
I guess I can say when we lived in Los Angeles, my dad had bought a 100-gallon aquarium where he kept an illegal red arowana, of course.
Nice.
us Vietnamese people, we sure know how to make connections anywhere and then just, get what we really want. So he kept one in one of those tanks, and I just remember him crawling into that tank and then just scrubbing on the inside out, and he would just be inside that tank the whole time because I think he was like 5'6" or something, 5'5". So I'm 5'7", and I can just imagine myself climbing into that tank too. And I always wanted an aquarium, so he let me keep those newts, those fire belly newts, and I guess that's my first aquatic animal. And that interest didn't really spark again until I moved to Ohio and found.
What was that?
Yeah,
age?
go ahead.
How old were you when you lived in Los Angeles?
I lived in Los Angeles for probably 20 years. So, but then that age specifically, I was probably around 9 years old or something.
Oh, okay. And so is it kind of funny that, you know, your dad back then was going inside the tank to do maintenance, and now you're going inside of the 800-gallon in the CoOp in the Maboo Studios?
I have never thought about that.
You haven't made that connection yet?
No, I haven't.
It's a generational thing, man. Like I would be so happy if I knew that my son had to do something similar like that to me in this hobby. Like that would just be hilarious.
And I haven't. Yeah, now that I think about it, I wanted to really set up the footage of me doing that now. And I was like, remember you when he used to do this inside our tank? And yeah, wow, I'd never made the connection. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. So, all right. So then you're in Ohio. What age are you in Ohio?
Well, went to high school there, and then some things happened, and I had to move back to LA. But once I moved back to Ohio on my own terms, I think this was in 2012, 2013, something like that. Just really bored and wanted to keep something. I wanted to keep a tank, but didn't know really what. And then I found this little place called, I think, Alpha Pro Breeders, where they kept some of the most beautiful shrimp I've ever seen in my life. So that's what really got me back into the hobby is crystal red shrimp.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And so from there, you know, all the tanks that crystal shrimp are in are pretty nicely aquascaped. So that's when I got into kind of aquascaping. But that was always on the way, like the side, and the shrimp was always the priority.
So now I'm going to make an assumption. So we're talking about Ohio, you're bored. I'm guessing this was probably in the wintertime?
I want to say yes.
I
want to say yes.
Because Ohio, that whole region, they're not exactly known for their pleasant winters, correct?
No, it's the worst, especially if you're in the snow belt. So yeah, I was in the snow belt, and there's always snow and not much to do.
The snow belt.
So
I don't think I've heard the term snow belt yet.
So yeah, it's the lake area effect. So anywhere near the Great Lakes, it gets really bombed on with snow.
Oh, I always just thought that was like a frozen tundra, like north of the Wall in Game of Thrones. Like you'd have to be a crazy wilding to want to live in that environment. But
yeah, it's pretty wild. When it gets hit, it gets blizzard.
No offense to my snow belt listeners out there. So okay, so you're like, all right, I'm gonna get my own tanks, crystal shrimp. So you jump into something that, you know, you guys have. I assume it's hard water out there still on that snowbelt region.
Liquid rock, yes.
Liquid rock. So then you're like, all right, I'm gonna keep something that then needs reverse osmosis and all that good stuff, right? Okay,
exactly.
And I mean, any fun anecdotes from that experience of, you know, jumping into a, you know, kind of a finicky shrimp to keep, right? Like having to do reverse osmosis and all of that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely super hard stuff. But you know, once we really want something, we go for it. So I, you know, never did all the research I could on how to do reverse osmosis, and just replacing those membranes was a pain in the butt. And yeah, I don't know if you ever had an RO system living in Washington and all.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't. I mean, I lived in Northern California and we had well water, so we probably could have used an RO system. I would assume that we had some fairly hard water there. But no, I never played around with it. But I mean, if you're telling me it's a pain in the butt, I'm going to take you at your word.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. You have to replace those systems every like 6 months to a year, so depending on how big the system and how much water you're generating out of those systems. And
with liquid rock water, I assume you're changing them more frequently than if we had it here in Washington, right? In Western Washington.
Because over here the TDS is about 13, and over there is 300 plus, and sometimes something's going on with the water. I've seen it at 800 TDS before, so yeah, it's really, really bad.
Wow, and
that's why there's so many cyclic keepers over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so you've got these crystal red shrimp. I mean, what kind of tank are you putting them in?
I had 3 10s, a 5, and a 20 in the living room. The 3 10s, everything was in my room, and the 20 was in the living room. Usually how it really goes, like, because when I moved out of that house and went to my other house where I started the Swhiskey channel, I had 16 tanks in my bedroom. and maybe 2 tanks in the living room.
Nice. And I assume no auto water change system, none of that fun
No, it's just a lot
drain
of
system.
Yeah, and my room was upstairs, so I had to carry buckets up and down, bottles of water, stuff like that.
Nice. And I'm guessing those weren't shrimp tanks, right?
No. I started getting to nano fish there.
Okay. So I know that you and I we just recently did the unboxing, and you said the celestial pearl danio was like your favorite fish.
My favorite fish, hands down. Yeah.
And so, I mean, what were some of the first nano fishes that you kept?
And the first ones I could get my hands on was definitely the emerald dwarf rasboras, because they're in almost every pet shop. And chili rasboras, which you've never kept, but I think you should start.
There may be another nano tank in my future, and if that happens, I think I will be getting those rasboras.
Yeah, I recently ordered 15 neon blue rasboras.
Oh, nice. And so
they're for a new tank, and I'm not going to discuss that now. You can watch my channel to keep up with that.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll make sure that towards the end of this, we again reiterate where people can find out more about you, and I'll make sure we've got links to all the good Jimmy Nguyen, action that we can find.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem at all. So the nano fish, right? I mean, what were you experimenting with any other fish, or how did you progress through the hobby from that point?
How did I progress? I pretty much found a local fish store called Something Fishy. Met my buddy there, Dave, and because they had the YouTube channel, I always asked him, like, since he did aquarium maintenance, I was like, can I follow you around, like, all day and see what you do? And so I have, like, 2 videos of that, just following him around, changing tanks in hospitals, old retirement homes, stuff like that. So in return, he has a store, and it's a lot of cichlids. And if you see this Steve Poland channel, there's like a tour of his place there. It did really well. And so he kept a lot of cichlids. I started keeping some cichlids. And then he started really getting into community fish. So everything that I started off with, he started getting in. So yeah, pretty much whatever he had, I was going to get.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, how would you describe your fish keeping preferences? At least as they are now.
As of right now, I mean, I've been getting more and more into aquascaping lately, but I guess I've always loved that aquascape life. And if you look at most of my tanks, there's some kind of plant, some kind of rock, hardscape. Like my glute tank right now, it's filled completely. It's carpeted. There's my rainbow tank. It's as you can say, it's pretty aquascaped, right?
Until you ripped it up.
Yeah, until I ripped it up. I mean, it looks good now.
So what was it? What was your decision to? And I mean, this is like, of all my interviews, I feel like this is probably gonna be the one where we just bounce around the most. I feel like this is one where I just wanted it to be an organic conversation and not have anything scripted. So I apologize to the listeners if this is kind of deviating from the usual podcast formula for me. But what made you want to rip up that rainbow tank Vallisneria in the center, man? Because I thought I love the overgrown like jungle look.
Oh, man. Well, it started off with that whole pathway in the beginning. There's both those sides, and then I decided to plant Val. When I decided to plant that Val, I was just going to let it grow in the background, but eventually it got overtaken with all the work I have to do. For Corey, like, it's hard to just maintain that tank, so I just let it overgrow, and it started looking pretty good. But I found some new inspiration in a form of a female, and she really loves aquascaping. So I was like, I'm going to get back to what it used to look like, so it looks more scaped and neat. So that's when I decided to rip it up.
So you did it for a girl?
I didn't do it for. I mean, I had these plans already, but I never really, never was really motivated to do it. But I guess I went to see about a girl, and that's what happened to that tank.
Oh, man, I wish we had the video on Skype right now, because I feel like I'd see you blush.
I am red as can be right now.
That is awesome. And I mean, honestly, like seeing the tank in person after before and after you've done it, it still looks amazing. Like the rainbows in there are still gorgeous, and
yeah, there's a lot of room to swim around.
Yeah, having that kind of center divide between the two, islands, if you will, of Vallisneria. I mean, it still looks like a really, really awesome tank. So I can't give you too much of a hard time. And plus, I think I've said this before, but one of the beauties of our hobby is that there's so many different facets, so many things for people to be interested in, so many different species of fish and different kinds of fish for, you to have your own preference and have it be completely fine, right? Like,
Yep, that's one of the best things,
like,
the variety.
Yeah, like that's your style. Like, I'm not gonna poo-poo on it. Like, I may tease you just jokingly in this, in this interview, but
come on, to be fair, that's probably one of the cleaner tanks inside that whole studio. So, yeah.
Well, it's definitely getting some attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's still an awesome tank, and those I would have to assume that those fish are still enjoying that setup.
Yeah, so my plan is to really take out a lot of those rainbows in place of 200 other fish. I have my mind on right now.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were talking about potentially giving some of those to Sam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I might have to fight Sam for those.
I mean, if you want to. He's.
I think I'm older, and I'm definitely older, and I think I'm bigger than Sam.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, no, Sam is a great guy. So if he's got first dibs, by all means. And
no, you have the higher pay grade, so let's just.
No. I'm
just kidding.
We're all equal in the co-op family.
Yeah, exactly. We all do the same amount of work, man. Those warehouse workers, those retail workers, they work so hard. It's insane.
They do, and I actually tried to I helped a couple customers, and I'm by no means like super knowledgeable in our hobby. Like, I've got my passions, and every day I learn more and more. But Sam, I think, was he like a senior in high school or something like that, or maybe he's a year out of high school, but he's got a ton of knowledge, and all of our other retail and our warehouse staff, I mean, they're able to jump in and switch interchangeably and answer customers' questions about products or fish, and it's super, super impressive. And this is now kind of turning into a hashtag free plug podcast.
Co-op.
So
what do you suspect? There's two guys that work for the company.
Yeah,
and,
we're
around it.
Hey, and what I always say, this is a free show, so
yeah.
So I digress. And now I typically don't get into too much in terms of like YouTube and channels and all that kind of fun stuff, because I feel like people that do YouTube have their own platform, and it's very easy for people to get a full serving of what a channel creator has to offer. But I feel like your channel is something that is just absolutely remarkable. I think that what you're doing is so much different than what else is out there, and so many people have said that what you do is causing them to raise the bar on the quality of video that they produce. But then also, like, I want to go back and talk more about your channel and your growth there, but also your Instagram. Like, I think what is so cool about your Instagram channel, or your account channel, what the hell?
Same.
Okay, same. Is that those are all your pictures, and so
yes, they're all my pictures.
And the reason I bring that up is that there's so many Instagram accounts out there that have tens of thousands of followers, but all they do is just share photos from other people.
Exactly. Like, they have like 50,000, 100,000. I'm like, how? And they have, like their tags are like 1 billion tags and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so, like, I feel like I need to share the awareness that, if you follow the Jimmy Gimbal Instagram channel, like, if you're somebody that just likes, hey, I'm into this hobby or this interest, I want all of the visual, for lack of a better word, porn, like, I want all the fish porn I can get in my YouTube or my Instagram feed. Like, you need to follow Jimmy, because he is taking these pictures, he's doing the editing, it's all him. Like, knowing that it's coming from the same person that owns the account, to me, makes it so much more special and meaningful than, like, hey, I'm just going to follow this person that all they do is just share other people's stuff all day long. Like, that doesn't have the same feeling. And sure, is Randy being a little cynical? Sure, why not? No. I think I kind of am, but like, I would want people to follow those that are actually the ones creating the images and the videos and the content. And what you put out there is just, it's amazing. Like, I've showed you the silly little photos that I've edited based off of your tips. And, even the silly little things that I've done make my pictures that much better. And so, as a thanks to you, like, people need to follow your stuff, because you're awesome.
Yeah, I'm an open book, so I answer a lot of my DMs of people asking me questions every single day. Like, it's more and more lately as it grows. But yeah, you're right. A lot of people, they do, like, I see my pictures, I get tagged in photos. My fans tag me in photos, like, isn't this Jimmy Gimbals? And I look at the picture, and this guy has like 50,000 subscribers or followers, And just like, why didn't you tag me in it, man? Like, it's so simple. You don't have to ask me, just tag me into it.
Yeah, I
But
just
and
had.
it's a lot of stolen photos and stuff like that. So it's rough. It's a rough, but then it's the game. You know?
Yeah, I just had a recent example where somebody, a listener of this show, on Facebook messaged me like, "Hey, isn't this that custom logo image that you had commissioned by Priscilla?" And I looked at it, and yeah, sure enough, it was. And
Yeah.
I think the person gave her credit, but nonetheless, like that's kind of the same thing where
Yeah. So
Priscilla.
how did that make you feel?
Um, I was okay with it. Like, I guess, so at the end of the day, as long as Priscilla is getting credit for the amazing work that she did, and then people are then turning on to her and her channel and her work and are buying her stuff through Etsy and all that, I am perfectly happy. But, and I need to go back and make sure this is the case, but if it was just a stolen picture and somebody's just throwing it on their Discus feed, then that's not cool. In my, that's how I feel.
It's not cool. It's not cool at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Priscilla is somebody that, I finally met in person at Aquatic Experience. She's super awesome, her and her husband. She does amazing, amazing artwork, and I want to have her on the show because she's got a super cool story, and people need to know about her artwork if they already don't. And I feel honored to have a piece of her artwork.
Yeah. I mean, we share kind of the same story. She's a foreigner as well, and she's into the arts aspect of the whole hobby. And I've known her for quite a while too, and she does amazing work. And
yeah, her little
just kind of the same story.
Her little draw with me sessions are super cool. Again, I don't talk much about YouTube, but these like live stream draw with me sessions where she's just like drawing some amazing piece of artwork. Like
Right.
I don't know if she ever completes the artwork, but she's doing various segments of it.
Yes, she
And
does.
like the artistic creativity, like everything that's coming from her pen or pencil or whatever medium she's using, it's awesome. It's like,
Yeah,
man,
so-
that is so cool.
Yeah, so that's why it hurts so much. I guess that, for lack of a better terms, hurts so much when you take all that time and you stand in front of a tank, take a picture and stuff like that, edit it, and then someone else just goes ahead and steals it for like in seconds,
Yeah, and then
So that's a rough part.
they feed it to 10,000 people. You never get credit for it, and all of a sudden, their popularity is just further cemented because
Exactly.
they found, they're following you, and they're like,
And
yeah, good
that
one,
picture
Jimmy.
it has like thousands and thousands of likes, whereas your own picture, the original, has like 200, 300. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah, and I'm somebody like I like the visual experience and being bombarded in cool images of something that I'm interested in as much as the next person. But I would hate for somebody like you to be like, what, this isn't worth my time. Like, I'm not going to do it if I can't get the credit for it. Then
Right.
because there's other things that come along with it once you build up a following. So I can I would understand if you got frustrated and were just like, I'm done. But hopefully through mediums like this, people find out about you and you get more and more followers. And
Definitely would appreciate it.
I mean, you're not just taking stupid pictures, like you're taking amazing, amazing photos, and it's like, how does Jimmy do it, man? What the? But then you show me, and I just need to practice. So
And that's what's cool about like videography, because it's harder to imitate. You know what I mean? Like doing all the video work and editing, stuff like that. That's a little bit harder than taking a picture.
Mm-hmm. And I told you, man, your cinematography work is just absolutely awesome. You made even me look cool. So in two recent videos, the reveal of Randy working at CoOp, and then the unboxing that we did. Now, granted, my 2-year-old son is biased, but he's watched each of those like 100 times, man.
Yeah, that's so cool.
He is so obsessed. He calls out me, he calls out him, he calls out Murphy, and I mean, he just can't get enough of those videos. And, the little sound effect, the wah wah that you put into the unboxing, like that just absolutely drives him crazy. He loves it. So let's circle back. All right, so you're keeping shrimp, you're keeping fish, you're in Ohio in the snow belt. It's winter is here and the White Walkers are descending upon you. How do you decide to get into YouTube and the whole photography thing?
So while doing shrimp and everything, you have to look for plants, stuff like that. So I would watch Dustin's fish tanks, and then I would get into CO2. Like, okay, I go watch Joey. So I've been watching them for probably a year and a half before I started getting into like fish, and that's when Corey popped out on my radar. And I was like, this is just a old school guy. He builds stuff out of cinder blocks and wood, and I was like, man. And he has like, 35, 40,000 subscribers when I started following him. I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. So
that's gonna be the title of this episode. If Corey can do it, I can do it.
yeah, exactly. So I would listen to his podcast. I would sleep to the sound of his voice, but now the sound of his voice is like, it's like, oh no. But yeah, I used to sleep to the sound of his voice, like just listen to everything he has to say, and that's what really drove me to open that YouTube channel and just start from there. And I didn't know what I wanted to do because I don't have any education to give because I'm kind of new in the hobby. So why not I had a camera to start with because I bought one. I was doing nails at the time, so I was a manicurist. So I bought enough money to take a vacation to Alaska, but I wanted a camera to document my whole trip. So I bought a little point and shoot camera, and that's why I started YouTube off with. And
so there was no formal photography training. There was nothing before that point.
The only training I ever had in videography was a 9th grade class that kind of changed my life and how I look at movies. My teacher, Mr. Bowman, he really told us about the colors and how to shoot a video. And my finals project for that class was a total D. I think it was a D. So it was the finals for that class was a music video. And and if you ever watched back then in 2001, 2002, Jackass was really popular. Yeah. So I made a Jackass music video to the song "Build Me Up, Buttercup," and it was just me and my nephew like pushing each other around in a cart and like into bushes and like ordering a whole meal and then dropping it on the floor, stuff like that. It was like a half a skate video too, and it was a terrible video. But that's when I first got my hands on like any kind of video editing software. So
okay, and so I mean, outside of this class, though, you
nothing else.
So you weren't doing anything else. Were you making videos in that meantime, or no? It was just that class, and that was it.
No, after that, I was in Texas, and I had a birthday, which I had a GoPro, and I just filmed my whole birthday on my GoPro, made a little video. Which I just deleted a week ago.
Oh, that was on
on the other channel. Yeah, so that was my birthday.
Why are you deleting
because
these
it's
things?
Embarrassing, man.
So that's another thing to unpack is that so your first channel was not Swhiskey.
It was Sashimi Whiskey.
Okay, so what? Because I went back there, and this is probably about a month ago. I went back, and I'm like, you know what? I want to just go back and see Jimmy. Like, I want to see the raw progression of you and the videos that you put out. Because obviously, you didn't just wake up one day making kick-ass videos like you're doing now. And so I wanted to see that. But I found your channel, and there was only 2 videos, and one of them was that birthday party.
And one was a fish tank video.
And so what? And actually, that's what made me wonder. Like, is this even Jimmy's channel? Because I don't even think you showed yourself in that Texas birthday.
No, you can see me in it. I think. Yeah, you can see me. Yeah, you can see me.
Maybe I just didn't watch.
I was at our rave. I was airsofting inside National Park, which we got in trouble.
Oh my goodness!
It was a lot. It was craziness. Yeah.
So, I mean, how many videos do you think you put up under the sashimi whiskey?
Probably 4.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, it was fun.
Okay, so not a ton, and then why did you drop the sashimi whiskey? Well, one, I mean, how did that name come up?
That name, it was 2 of my favorite things in 2006 when I first started the YouTube channel.
Sushi and whiskey.
So, I love both.
Awesome. I like it too.
Not much of a drinker anymore, but I also drink here and there to celebrate. But I took that channel. I still had the name Sashimi Whiskey, but I made another channel because I didn't know how to really. I don't think I knew how to delete any videos or anything like that. So I rolled with Sashimi Whiskey until I got over here. Really, I changed it to Swhiskey not too long ago.
Okay, and so all of the videos. Is it fair to say that all of the videos under Swhiskey are still there, so we can see your progression, or have you gone back and trimmed out some of the more embarrassing ones, in your opinion?
You can definitely say I trimmed out a lot of that. I have my mods and Candy and everybody. They hate it. They really want to see some of the old stuff, some of the old live streams that I used to do, but they're hidden. They're not deleted. They're hidden. Some of them are deleted. And if you look at my channel now, I believe I've only uploaded about 80 videos. Can you believe that?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So nowhere near 100 yet.
Okay. And so do you ever think you'll unhide some of those?
I have been just for like friends to watch it because you look back and then there was an interview with Flynn where he's just a little baby.
He's just
So,
a little,
yeah,
and
he's
he's
just a
not like
little
the 7 foot
little
tall dude he
baby.
is now.
Yeah, exactly. So he was just a little kid back then, and yeah, he was adorable. So I made that public and showed a few people.
Is
But
it still public? Because I want to. This episode isn't going to push until Monday. So if you give me a few days, I want to go back and watch it.
it might be public. It might be
That's
public.
awesome. I hope we can embarrass him.
Yeah. So then in that live stream, it's really good because all of a sudden, Bob comes in, Susan from SLC Aquatics, Corey comes in, Charles Fish Tanks, and they just raid the whole party, and it was crazy, and I was just like starstruck back then. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Corey.
Oh, that's super cool. And so, like, I guess in your own words, like, how would you describe some of the lessons and some of the progression that you've made in terms of making your videos?
Oh man, has it progressed?
So what are some of the elements where you look back and you really, really shake your head and you're like, I'm never going to do that again?
Oh man, it was really raw. I based my channel off a little bit of Joey's. I guess if I could be honest, like just a little bit more energy and just like walking around my fish room and stuff like that with just an enthusiasm for fish. And those are the really cringy videos I used to do. I still to this day cannot get used to the camera. I hate being in front of the camera. That's why I'm always I love to be the cameraman and be behind the scenes of it all. But because I have my own YouTube channel, there's like you have to put yourself on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first moved over here, I didn't want to do much fish, so you can see me progress that whole cinematic. Like I did a lot of family videos, I did a lot of hiking videos. So I did a lot of research in the cinematic world, and after I got fed up with that, that's when I started like moving all that stuff over to the fish world. So what can I do to make all of these videos a lot different from anybody else?
Mm-hmm. Be
Be creative and just take a whole new step forward, or I don't know if it's forward or another route or something like that, but it's different, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really educational, but when it is educational, I usually bring someone on like Dean to educate.
Yeah, it won't be me.
Trust Dean.
It won't be me to educate, that's for sure. And if you've got Dean at your disposal, and we're talking like fish husbandry,
exactly,
he's going to be a pretty good resource.
So me and him have become a pretty good duo, I guess. People call us Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy Dean, nice.
Yeah, so all those videos do pretty well. But yeah, other than that, it's just taking that whole cinematography world and bringing it over to the fish world.
Yeah, and I mean, it's crazy how you can even weave in like pop culture references and little snippets from a sitcom here or there, and it just works. Like it doesn't, at least to me, like it doesn't come across as cheesy. And again, I can be fairly cynical, and it just I don't know how you do it, but it is something special. And you're not just doing, your videos aren't just standard like, hey, here's my fish room update or anything like that. Nothing against those videos. Like yours are an experience in and of themselves. Like it's
exactly. That's
awesome.
why I like. I get a lot of flack for it, but that's why I like releasing at midnight. And a lot of people don't know that because in the nighttime you're more susceptible to emotions and stuff like that. You're relaxed in your relaxed state. And a lot of my videos, I would like you to put headphones on because I do a lot of sound design. And the music, of course, is a big part of my channel, as you noticed. So I want you to be in that relaxed state when you watch my videos. I want you to totally be strapped in, headphones on and everything, and just listen to everything. You can even close your eyes and hear what's going on in that video.
Wow, that's I mean, that is definitely a different take on watching your videos. Well, one, how many people are actually up at midnight that would watch your videos?
So a lot of my audience is Australian. So when I release it, it does pretty good. I mean, probably not as well as if I release it at 5 a.m. in the morning, like Corey always tells me to.
Mm-hmm.
When I do, it really takes off when I do it at 5 a.m. But I'm more of I just do what I do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm for sure going to go back, and at least I think most of the time I do have headphones on. Maybe actually not for these recent videos you've done. I'll go back, I'll put headphones on, and And I guess your subsequent releases, I'll go ahead and I'll follow your advice. Like it's almost like a culinary experience where the chef is telling you like, this is how I want you to
Exactly.
like this is how I want you to consume, this particular dish that I made, right? Like it's more than just like my delicious Chick-fil-A and waffle fries, which I love my Chick-fil-A and waffle fries, but if I went to like a 5-star Michelin rated restaurant, like it's going to be, an experience that's just beyond stuffing food in my mouth. And I think, like you're telling us, it's not just the visual component, it's auditory, and you weave those together in such a way that it does tug on the emotions a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, pay attention to all that little stuff, and it's so much fun for me to do the sound design since I've stepped it up, and it's important to me. I think having earphones on and earbuds it's a big deal.
How many, I guess, soundtracks would you go through on average for a given video? Like how many different, tracks will you sample before you arrive upon the one that's going to be it?
Like what do you mean? Like,
well, because you usually have like a background song, right, to your videos.
Yeah.
So how long do you spend, and like how many music, or yeah, like how many songs do you go through before you arrive at the one?
Man, I usually know if it's a travel vlog, it's usually the song I probably listen to the most on my travels, and I just use that. But if it's like a fish room tour, I pretty much every time I step into a new room or a new tank, there's a different track.
Mm-hmm.
So, like my last video, like let's say I went to my group tank and I'm whispering at the end.
Yeah.
You can hear the piano playing, but it was just pretty much to drown out the Christmas music that Katie had on. In the beginning, like you could hear that whole video. It starts off with a little bit hip hop music, so it's kind of more energy and upbeat, and then it starts with next is post rock, and then it goes to a more slower piano.
And so where did this come about, right? Like this wanting to sound engineer and add that component into your videos. Is it a throwback to Mr. Barker?
Man, it's just being in that cinematography world. They use so much sound design and to keep you immersed, and that's like the true feeling. It's like keeping someone immersed in that state, and I think you gotta have all levels, like the whole 3D aspect of it. Mm-hmm. To get someone that far into your video. Okay,
and so maybe let me ask another question. So let's say you put out so like my reveal video, right, for Aquarium CoOp, that's about a minute and a half of actual video. What's the amount of editing time, right? Like, so for every minute of video, what does that translate to in terms of the amount of like editing, post-production work that you're doing?
This will surprise a lot of people, but a lot of people do know I don't take much time at all. Like, we shot a lot of that in the morning, mm-hmm. and I was done with that video around 6 or 7 o'clock. I think I worked on that video for like about 4 hours.
Okay.
Like every video, I never take more than probably 5-6 hours, unless it's like a 30-minute video, and then that'll probably take 2 days. Mm-hmm. That Gary Lang tour that we did for Aquarium CoOp, that took me about 3 days. Oh, wow. Because there's so much information, so much B-roll to look over, choosing the right parts for the B-roll, sectioning that whole thing out, and just adding all the graphics that came along with that video.
Mm-hmm. That still feels like a time commitment, though, right? Like even if in comparison, that's a pretty good turn. Like for a 1 minute and 30-second video to put in 4 or 5 hours, that still seems like a pretty hefty investment.
Yeah, I guess you could say so. Yeah,
but what I'm getting at though is that it is something that is free for people to consume. And if you're somebody that is in this hobby, which again, I've said this before, like if you're clearly listening to me drawn on about, or, just go on about fish and whatnot with various guests, like you are somebody that is a passionate aquarist and you haven't checked out Jimmy and the work that he's doing. Like it is so different from all of the other stuff that's out there that it is truly an experience. And to hear that you're going to put in 4 or 5 hours worth of work for a 1 minute and 30-second video that I loved, but then somebody else may go and poo-poo it and throw a thumbs down, and you have no idea why.
So that's the other thing. Like there's the videos that I take like forever on, and they do so terrible. Like all my travel vlogs, they do really terrible. But then I go and make a Mudskipper video that took me about an hour and a half, to do, and now it's at it was 12,000 views in 48 hours, something like that. It's kind of crazy. But I find a balance. I have fun doing those travel videos where I don't have fun doing like fish room update. So I do find a balance.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. Maybe the travel vlog though, those kinds of videos will be the bridge into other endeavors for you though. I mean, maybe I don't know.
It has been though. So it makes me shoot other things besides fish. So I know how to set it up. My shots a little bit better. Now I do carb videos. Like, what's that about?
Oh man.
So
can you dive into that a little bit? Like, what's that experience been like?
Shooting car videos and hanging out of cars and stuff like that. It's been a blast. I think it's a new beast.
Is there anything to link to some of those like commercials or videos that you've done for cars?
So
I've only seen the stills of that. I don't think I've actually seen a full on like video production that you've done.
It's on my channel. Like I released it. I know it's people say, isn't this a fish channel? Like, no, you don't see the word aquatics or you don't see anything like that on my name. So
I'm bad at YouTube. Like between like career, family, fish room, building the damn fish room. It's like, oh, you didn't see that? It's like, oh. Yeah,
usually if you're a YouTuber or you're a part of that YouTube world, you don't watch other videos. Like I try to anyways, but just because we keep up with the competition or we keep up with other people and see what they're doing, stuff like that.
I feel like none of my guests actually listen to the podcast. Which I mean, it is what it is. Hey, if somebody's willing to come on and talk to me for an hour and share their knowledge, like I'm not gonna be mad at them for not listening to the podcast. Because if anything, they're probably so immersed in fish and they've been doing it for decades and decades. Maybe it's just not as it's just not their cup of tea anymore. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So what your move out to Washington? Like did we just hit the 1 year mark, or are we already past that?
The 1 year mark was July the 3rd.
Oh, okay. So So going up on a year and a half, and I mean, can you kind of high level walk through like what that was like? So Jimmy's in the snow belt, and you're doing your thing with your channel, and
so I did the fish room tour of LR Brett's, and that just took over. So once I did that, it got Corey's attention, and it's so funny. He right after he saw that, he went to go shoot that niece's video, building an aquarium for my niece. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. No, I've seen that one.
And so there's a shot where he opens the trunk and he's talking to the camera. I have that same shot inside the Lucas Brett's video.
Oh.
So he was, and that was the video he was about to throw away. So this is how I worked for Corey. He approached me and he asked me to do some video editing for him, but he had this video that he wanted to throw away, and he thought it was crap and whatnot. Can you hear the dogs?
I do. I hear him. Gotta give him a treat.
Yeah. So he was about to throw away that video, and I was like, let me work on it. It'll be the first video I've ever done for anybody, And I worked on it. And he liked it, and right now I think it's sitting at 500,000 views or something like that.
Yeah, that was a really good video, and I think that was definitely before. I think I watched that video as one of my first, like, actually getting back into fish. Checking out things on YouTube and what was out there, and definitely watching that video and watching Corey's little niece just go crazy.
It was an adorable video.
It's pretty funny, yeah.
She's like YouTube famous now. But after that video, I think, he just took me in. I was supposed to be I really wanted to work for Flip Aquatics, but I also wanted to work for anybody who would take me in, because I was just a brand new YouTuber.
Yeah.
And I would that was my thing. I wanted to collaborate as many people as possible to build my name. So I guess just went straight from Ella Brett's to Corey from Aquarium Co-op.
So he's like,
but Corey wasn't big back then. So
right. And so he's like, hey, come move out to Washington and just work for me full time.
Yeah, not after. Well, before that, he came up to Ohio he's like, I'm going to come up to Ohio. I want you to plan out the weekend for me, and I want to see what you can do. So I planned out the Oddball Aquatics tour, a meet with Flip Aquatics, stuff like that. And I guess he trusted me with his itinerary, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And I started adding more and more videos to him. And then he's like, you know what? I just need you out here. Like, what will it take? I was like, it's not going to take much. So, packed my bags. Took me 7 days to drive out there because I took a detour. And that video is also out on my channel, like the big move to Washington. I documented the whole thing. It's pretty terrible, but it's up there. And yeah, I've been here ever since.
Wow. And so, I mean, what would Jimmy from, a decade ago, what do you think Jimmy would say to Jimmy right now, like as far as this journey that you've gone on?
Oh man, like I just recently had this conversation with my girlfriend too. Like I would have been so embarrassed.
You can't tell the ladies that you're taking. What's going on, man?
Oh yeah, fully single.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I would have been embarrassed by the person who I was before, and I would never tell anybody like what I did for money, blah blah blah. At one point, I was even homeless for like 2 weeks. I was a DJ at a strip club.
Whoa.
Yeah, I did nails. I was in the hydroponic industry, and I was never really proud to say what my title was until now.
Wow.
I'm a photographer, full-time videographer, just diving into everything, and this is barely my 2nd year with it, and I think I've really grown a lot. I didn't know how to use a DSLR when I first got here.
Wow.
To be honest, yeah, I didn't know how to use the camera at all, so I just had to learn everything. Yeah.
Jeez, man, like I think, and for me, like wanting to bring this story, like this raw side of Jimmy, because we see the product that you're producing now, and it's just so polished, and you have to assume that there's just been so many years of experience and training in this, but what it boils down to is just a ton of passion. Like
it really is.
Like a ton of passion, a ton of determination, and just loving what you're doing.
Yeah, and just watching Corey's work ethic and just following along with him. When I first worked here, it was 90 hours a week. So, just follow him. Just every time he's working, I got to work. It's just the work ethic, work ethic. So there's not a lot of people out there with the same work ethic, and it really is contagious, and that's what's gotten me so far.
Yeah, I mean, I can echo that sentiment. I've worked at some pretty interesting places, some pretty big companies, some pretty cool stuff, and one of those being Amazon.com, and they're not exactly known for their work-life balance that they give that their employees, especially corporate employees, and the thing that's different about this new gig is that it's just, I'm probably working more than I've ever worked in my life, in my professional career, but it doesn't feel like work. Like, it's being able to immerse myself in the hobby and, look at it from a different lens and really try to build on the vision that Corey has and to continue to do the things like this podcast and just make the hobby, bigger and better and more accessible, like we said in the video, is I don't know, it just makes everything not seem like work.
Yeah, definitely. So. And you get to work with fish all the time.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm doing a lot of working from home, but like the one day a week, if I go up to the studio and it's like, oh, there's the 800 gallon, I will probably never get tired of seeing that in person.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Oh man.
If the day I get tired of seeing the 800 gallon in person, I don't even know if I probably won't even enjoy my own fish room. Like that'll just be a really, really sad day in Randy's life if he's not, just absolutely overwhelmed seeing an 800 gallon tank.
That tank's just got overshadowed by my Mudskipper tank, I'm just saying.
Dude, those Mudskippers, man, they're pretty cool.
So cute.
My goodness. And so yours is in, let's just make this a little bit of a, we'll digress and talk about Mudskippers for a second. So yours are in 100% fresh water right now.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
And normally they're in more of a brackish condition?
They're in brackish. I'm thinking of doing brackish. I want to redesign. I've been talking to Serpa Design, Tanner, another person with some crazy work ethic. And he's going to give me some plans to make a riparium. So either I might get a new tank and just do a really cool Mudskipper tank, or because I really want to do some brackish, because if that's what they need to be in, they need to be in that. But the person I got it from, like I said in my video, has it in fresh water for like a year.
Wow.
So yeah.
Is he breeding them, or is he getting them from?
He's not breeding them. He's just getting them from the pet store.
Oh, okay. And they're not. I mean, you would think within a year's time, if something was wrong, that they would probably
exactly.
die.
That's what I'm saying. So
interesting. And so going to brackish, I mean, just real quick, like I assume you're going to then pre-mix the water, right? Like you're getting it to a certain salinity, and
yep.
Okay.
I'm just gonna eyeball it, get some instant ocean, and just pre-mix the water. Not too much, not too little. At least some salt in there. The shrimp will probably die out though for sure, and the
Hmm.
snails. So
What do you think that mix is going to be? Is it like a quarter of whatever Instant Ocean normally recommends is for like a saltwater setup is what you'll
that's
do?
what
Or?
I do. Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, you'll actually go a quarter?
Yeah, I'll probably do a quarter or less, but that's if I do that route. Because he looks pretty happy to me right now, and if he's happy like that, then I'm gonna leave it like that.
I mean, just watching those little guys derp around, it's like,
Yeah,
man, I
that's a perfect word for it.
like
Derp
it's
around.
it is really really cool.
Yeah.
So, what do you, from the fish keeping perspective, like, what is something on, you're a tank, like, I don't want to call it a bucket list, but what's like one of the next things outside of this mud skipper that you want to keep, or a tank that you want to make, or aquascape, or whatever it may be?
So like I said before, I've been really getting into aquascaping lately. I just bought a UNS 30C, which is a 12 by 12 by 12. Bought some ADA sand, just really spending money on this one. Just recently, kind of, I guess you could say, team up with a local company for a light. You guys will see that in an upcoming video, and I'm really, really excited to work with this guy, and if it's a partnership at all. But he's letting me use this light. I offered to pay for it 100% on my pocket, so it's going to be a true review. But it's not going to be a review for a while because I'm barely setting this up. I want to see how it goes. So.
Oh, sure, sure. Oh, very cool. Do you have any like particular aquascaping style you want for this tank?
This tank, it's going to be probably another pathway, but it's like a underwater forest with tree trunks, spiderwood, some La Plata sand from ADA, a little bit of stratum. But not completely sure. I'm still talking to the lady friend about it. She's helping me design this whole thing, and
Oh, very
I think
cool.
she's got some skills herself.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, one of the aquascaping tanks that I want to make, definitely on like the 10-gallon size, or somewhere in that ballpark. So not a big setup, but I really want to do just like a classic Iwagumi. How do you
Iwagumi.
I want to do like a classic Iwagumi carpeted, like
Yeah.
angled,
Mountain.
centered
Yep.
mountain. Yeah, and I with like the open sky feel. Like to me, that reminds me of like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
On the
some
plains
New
of
Zealand stuff.
yeah, yeah, like New Zealand stuff, like on the plains of Rohan, or just the Hobbit. Like it just has such a cool.
How big of a tank do you want?
So I'm thinking about converting the Denale tank that I have from the Wallstad method that I have right now, which
Hmm.
if you guys ever come over and do the fish room tour, I don't know, it's so unkept, and the plants are just out of control. The sparkling gouramis that are in it, I think they love it. There's a ton of places from the hide, and they've bred a couple times now. But I don't know, like I just think I want to take it back and have just a much cleaner tank, especially since it's in the kitchen. Because right now when you look at it, it's like, oh, what's that glass box of green? like it.
Wait, how
So
big is that generally tank? Is that the shrimp tank?
yeah, yeah, the shrimp tank.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a rock for it.
Well,
If you want to do it, Iwagumi.
ooh, I did put two pieces of Ceru stone in there, but one is nice, the other one's kind of poo poo. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I would, yeah, this thing would totally need to be redesigned. And
Yeah.
what I'm really wanting is for one of these newer CO2 systems to come out where you actually don't use a tank and you just use the chemical reaction. There's a couple coming out from some different companies that I think will fit, because I don't want to mess with having to plumb like a whole CO2 system in my kitchen or anything like that. So, I think it's something that obviously I'm not going to pull the trigger on right now, but it's definitely something that I want to do, or maybe turn it into a true shrimp tank and just have some cool little shrimp in there. But then I'm afraid that like my mother-in-law or my wife will start spraying some like counter cleaner next to it,
Right,
and all of a
right.
sudden my shrimp just die off.
That's dangerous having it in the kitchen for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's cool to have it there. Like we've got the counter space, but yes, the absolute. Well, one, I feel bad because we don't have the soft closed drawers, so sometimes like people are banging the shelves closed, and I'm like,
Oh
man,
yeah,
these.
just don't fill it up all the way.
Yeah, well that, and then the lights are constantly going on and off. Like when the tank lights are off at nighttime, and you go in there to get your nighttime snack, and then all of a sudden you're hitting it with this, bright old kitchen light overhead. So I mean, it's like not the most ideal place for a tank, but nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Jimmy. So, how can people find out more about you? I know we've talked about a couple things, but tell the audience where they can find you at.
All right, so the first place I'll direct you to is Jimmy Gimbal. That's JIMMYGIMBAL. It was a play off Jimmy Kimball's name, but also I use a gimbal a lot, or I used to. That's my Instagram. My Swhiskey, it's insanely hard to find on YouTube, but if you type in youtube.com/SashimiWhiskey, you can find it. It'll take you to my Swhiskey page, which is SWHISKEY. Corey can't even spell it right now, so I don't blame you for, not finding it. But if you really wanted to look for it, I would guess just type in Swhiskey Aquarium and you can find it. And another spot you can find me at is SwhiskeyShots.com, where I sell my prints. I do sell fish prints. Let's see. And the last place would be my Facebook group is Whiskey & Co.
Oh, so I completely forgot about those last two. Yeah, your Facebook group, which is awesome because so many people share. Like, if ever there was a place where people are giving you a fragment of the credit that you're due for influencing people in this hobby, I think it's in that Facebook group, because so many people are like, Jimmy, like, look at this awesome picture that I did.
I know,
it's because
right?
of you. And it's like, man, that's a really sweet picture. Like, good job.
And I'm so proud of that group. Like, you don't even know. 600 strong right now, I think it is. But I'm really proud of that group and everyone that's in it that helps out. And thank you to all my mods.
I'm just a lurker. I don't contribute anything. I think I'll do like a thumbs up, or a gal recently posted up a cool Oscar picture, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah,
right.
I saw that.
Way to do an Oscar for your first edited picture. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like in all seriousness, because I love Oscars. All right, and so the Prince one, let's. We definitely need to make sure. Also, I'll have all 4 of those links to those in the show notes. So even if we have a struggle with Swhiskey, looking for Swhiskey on YouTube, I'll have a direct link to it in the show notes.
Yep.
And the Prince one. Yeah, your prints, you had those at AE, you have them online. I have your Murphy magnet, which my son absolutely loves. He loves to point, he runs up to it and he says, Murphy, Murphy. Yeah. He carries it around. I mean, it is just, you are so good at capturing the character of that fish. It is so awesome, and you've got so many other, super cool pictures that, people all over Instagram love to share, and I mean, they're framing your artwork. It's super awesome, so we'll make sure all 4 of those are included in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. Thank you.
So, Jimmy, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your day off to sit and talk to me about, your journey and just, kind of laying it all out there. I really, really appreciate it, and I really hope people that already know you have an even fonder appreciation for the journey that your life has taken you so far, and just really look to the work that you do as inspiration, and whether that makes them be a better fish keeper or a more engaged fish keeper, or they want to start their own video photo journey. I wouldn't be surprised if any of those things were true after somebody engages and looks at the work that you do. So thank you very much again, Jimmy, for coming on.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you again for listening to the Aquarius Podcast. As always, get involved in your local fish club, help grow this wonderful hobby, and have fun with other fish nerds.